Hello everybody and welcome to Roll Together RPG and to the next episode of our What the Heck Does That Card Do series, our Commander Magic the Gathering series where we take legendary creatures throughout Magic's history, and I said Marvel then, throughout Magic's history.
I mean, one and the same these days, according to the internet. Oh, controversial.
And we make suggestions as to cards that you might want to put in the deck. Some of those cards might be on the more expensive side money-wise. Some of them might be more popular. Others are going to be complete and utter oddballs that you've gone, what the heck does that card do? Get the name of the title. Haha. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about Tarkir Dragonstorm. And this hurts me to say, probably the least popular backup commander from the pre-cons Mardu Surge.
It is by a garden mile.
I don't like the backup commander that's in Sultai Arisen, if I'm honest.
Oh, no, the Kotas, no, also very low on the list, very low on the list, but I think Neriv knocks it out.
Yeah, this is Neriv, Crackling Vanguard. Neriv is black, white, red, and 2 for a Spirit Dragon 4/4 with flying and death touch. When Neriv enters, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Whenever Neriv attacks, exile a number of cards from the top of your library equal to the number of differently named tokens you control. Yep. During any turn you attacked with a commander, you may play those cards.
Yep.
Yes. Now, I bought the pre-con that Neriv came in was the Mardu Surge one, which was the one with Zergo Stormrender was the commander. I bought that pre-con, I pre-ordered that pre-con when it went up for pre-order because I wanted it for my Vihan deck. One thing that you will all notice if you go and click on that deck link down below is that deck is very similar to my Vihan deck. That's because this is the first episode that we've done where I have changed my deck. The Vihan deck from the very first episode is now this deck. Vihan, in the link down below, is either in the sideboard or is also in the command zone with Neriv, because I chop and change which one's in the command zone, depending on who I want to play. And for absolutely ages, I kept looking at Neriv because everybody kept going, "Oh, this card's terrible." The other Neriv that you get in the set, The other Neriv that actually comes in the set is far better, and this one just got forgotten about. And I just kept looking at it like, I really do want to try and make that work, but then put it down. And then eventually I just went, sod it, swapped out Vihan for this. It worked really well. I was like, oh, I quite enjoyed that. Swapped out 1 or 2 cards in the Vihan deck to give me some more additional token generation. Like I've put Mog Moogle Warrior in there as an example, so I can get some Moogles. And the deck I just love it. I think it's definitely one of my favorite decks. And the fact that I can chop and change between Vihan and Neriv is brilliant. Neither of them are in the 99 when the other's the commander, I should say.
Listen, I'm not saying that Neriv is an awful commander and sucks. The problem that Neriv had is that it was the backup in a deck that cared so much about tokens and didn't give a rat's ass about differently named tokens or exile. Exile in Commander, there are so many cards that care about exile. None of them are in the Mardu Surge pre-con.
No, it was kind of like Neriv was just kind of put in there at the last minute.
I don't think it was. Like, I totally get that the whole point of having a commander and a backup commander is that you could take the deck in 2 different directions, but no one. Also, Zergo Stormrender is fucking crazy. I've got that deck, and it's bananas good. It's so quick, it's so aggro. And to then go, oh, I'll take a turn off the quick aggro combat steps to play this massive hooning dragon with death touch that makes 2 1/1 goblins that don't even have haste in a deck that's all about combat triggers. Just like this, I kept it in the deck, I think, for 1 game. And I had it in my hand and just went, this is balls. I don't want this. This does nothing for me. It was gone. It was gone so hard. It's still in my bulk drawer. I've no use for it. I didn't even, because I've got other decks that care about exile, and they're so much more impactful. It's just like, what is the point of this? I'm not saying Josh's deck is bad. It's fine. I am going to be recommending all of the cards in the other Exile, Red Boros, or Mardu decks that I own.
Which is a totally valid strategy. You'll notice in the deck list down below that I have 2 cards in the whole 99. Sorry, the whole 100, the whole commander deck that focus on removing cards and putting them into exile so I can cast them later. And Neriv is one of them. The other one I'll talk about a bit later on, but I don't focus on that too much. It's one of those decks where I don't actually have to play the commander if I don't want to. The deck just runs itself, which is what I liked about having Vihan in the command zone as well, which is why they both work so well. But there's 1 or 2 cards that I swap out depending on who is in the command zone. But
I still find this incredible. I cannot build a deck where the commander isn't a significant piece of the engine, because it's always there. And if it's a really powerful commander that gets everyone scared and it gets removed, then I put more protection in. And if it's really powerful and gets removed and I can't protect it, the commander's the most recastable card in the deck because it's always in the command zone. Yeah. Which is why if it's a really powerful engine type, I lean more towards cheaper commands. I can't imagine going, I like the colors, so I'm going to build this, and if I don't play the commander, ho hum diddly hum. Like, no. So antithetical to my deck building with different people, but like, I find that thought insane.
I mean, it's one of the very few decks that I have that can actually does that, where I don't have to worry about playing the commander. But anyway, the first card that I'm going to talk about is actually going to be the other member of the deck that exiles cards that allow me to play them on future turns. This is Prosper Tomebound.
Oh, I mean, that's just a better command.
Shush.
Sorry.
The reason why I like
my wife has a Prosper deck, and it's one of the best decks we own.
Yeah, one of the things that I liked about Neriv's ability in particular. I know it can be a bit awkward because the line of text says that you can't cast cards from exile unless you've attacked with your commander. Sure, but it does mean that any cards that get exiled with Neriv, because Neriv is your commander, means that they are forever in exile and forever castable as long as you've attacked with Neriv. Doesn't matter if Neriv gets removed and you recast, as long as you attack your commander with your commander, which is Neriv, you can. So it just effectively gives you another hand. Whereas cards like Prosper, who I'll read now, is red, black, and 2 Tiefling Warlock with Death Touch, has Mystic Arcanum. At the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. And then Pact Boon, whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. The problem I have with those types of cards is it gives me a time limit on the card. And if it's a card that is quite expensive that I might want for later on in the game, and I can't cast it early, I've then lost it.
I mean, you're not wrong, but also just put more good cards in your
Well, you say that, but what if it's a board wipe and I want that board wipe for later?
What I have found in every exile deck that I play, and I've got 1, 2, 3, and my wife's got Prosper, is that the fun of it, certainly, and I'm not saying this is better than what Neriv does, it's just like the way that exile tends to work. You shunt as many cards as you can into exile for value, because a lot of cards say whenever you put a card into exile, do X. And then you cast cards out of exile where you can for value, because even Prosper says on him, when you cast a card from exile, make a treasure. Like, most cards that care about exile care about the putting of things into the exile or the casting of the things from the exile, because that tends to be the sort of cycle that goes. You can do all of that in Neriv as well. There's nothing stopping you, but you keep all the cards. But then every other card you get, every other card that says pop this into exile, doesn't work, because then there's the Neriv pile and there's the secondary pile. Like, in an exile deck, you're already going, well, I can play these cards till end of turn, these cards at the end of next turn, these cards till end of next combat step. Like, you already have to have, like, when are these cards available to me style piles.
Yeah, which is what I don't like.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it is complicated. I'll give you that. There is a certain amount of, like, admin that comes in exile decks.
Yeah, Prosper was the exception mainly because of
such a good card. It's worth a fortune as well.
Yeah, because of that treasure. Because of the I play anything from because Neriv even allows me to play lands from exile.
Yes.
I get treasures, so that's the only reason that Prosper is in there. I mean, being a 1/4 Death Toucher, it also helps, but to sort of go with Neriv, who is also a Death Toucher.
I'm not sure if I've waxed lyrical about this on the channel before, but Prosper's effect is so good, and Prosper's ability to draw you more cards is just easy. You do it without thinking about it, and then it's a 1/4 with Death Touch, which means that any attacker that you will lose it, and unless it's bigger than a 4/4, which good luck on turns like early turns or low rate commanders. I played my Zergo deck since my wife's Prosper deck, and I couldn't attack with bloody Zergo because Zergo's 3/3. Like it was like, yeah, like it's tough. Prosper is such a good card, such a good card. But we're talking about Mardu and we're talking about Neriv. There are other good cards too.
Yes.
Speaking of things from exile, hey, you're playing an exile deck, play Laelia. Laelia the Blade Reforged, 2 in a red, legendary spirit warrior with haste. Whenever Laelia the Blade Reforged attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever one or more cards are put into exile from your library and or your graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on Laelia. Oh, she gets so big.
She gets so big so fast. Again, the only thing that stops me from having her in the deck is you may play that card this turn. That's the only thing. But if you've got her and Neriv on the board and you attack with Neriv and you attack with her, you get 2+1/+1 counters on her.
Yeah, what she thrives on is playing every card under the sun that says whenever you exile, do a thing. So I would build... If I was building Neriv, which Josh hasn't done, and that's totally fine, I'll be putting all these cards in. All these cards that say until the end of turn. Like there's a 1 red mana from Spider-Man called Heroes Hangout that just says, look at the top 2 cards of your library, put them both into exile. You may cast one of them until end of turn. It's a single red mana to just trigger Laelia, trigger every single thing you have that says whenever a card's put into exile. Like you can build a whole deck around cards like Laelia, and people have, and it gets so big, and it has haste. It's very hard to argue with just the sheer driving that cards like Laelia add to the game. I'm going to jump to my next one, Josh, because it's all about this exile thing, because you're not going to talk about more exile cards. I'm going to just dive in on that now. The War Doctor is another one that I've just taken out of another deck, and I'm going to build an entire new deck around at some point. No rush yet. The War Doctor is a 2 red-white legendary creature, Time Lord Doctor. It's the John Hurt Doctor from that one episode of Doctor Who.
Arguably one of my favourite.
Yeah, it's great. And John Hurt's amazing as a random Doctors Who. Whenever one or more other permanents phase out, and whenever one or more other cards are put into exile from anywhere, put a time counter on the War Doctor. Whenever the War Doctor attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of time counters on it to any target. If a creature dealt damage this way would die this turn, exile it instead.
Which then triggers the put a time counter on it effect.
Right. To be clear on how ridiculously good the War Doctor is as a card, number 1, if you're playing cards that exile things left, right, and centre, time counter, time counter, time counter, time counter, time counter, suddenly the War Doctor attacks and does 10 damage to something. And that's a decent turn after you've cast him amount in a deck that exiles a lot.
He's also removal on a stick.
He's removal on a stick, which is already awesome. However, he's got a very cool... The way this works is bananas. Because whenever something gets exiled, one or more, so whenever you cast a spell that does an exile effect, you will put counters on it. You can start building him up very quickly with all the exile cards, and I think you should put more exile cards in Neriv. Point is, once you've done it, and once you've got like 5 time counters on him, because he has to attack for his trigger to go off, you attack, and then whichever of your opponent's creatures is going to block him and kill him, you kill.
Yeah.
Immediately. Therefore, his attack will probably get blocked by a 1/1, and that's okay. You don't care about that. He's a 3/5. What you want is the ability to take out the thing that's going to block him and kill him. Because if you take out things that block him and kill him, he gets another time counter, and next turn, if someone puts something else down, if there's no good attacks to make sure that his effect can go off, you can use his attacks to make sure that you can attack with him and start hitting face with him. Also, that if you do that enough, if he's not removed, the number of time counters on him is so quickly so big. Like, routinely, I would get this up to 10, 15, that suddenly your opponents are going, so whenever you attack me, you're destroying the creature that's going to block it. Fine, I'll stop blocking it, because obviously you're just going to destroy my creature. You go, cool, 15 to your face. So they go, that's worse. Yeah, I know. There's the only way around it is removing it.
I think I remember that we played a game once where you had the War Doctor, and I can't remember if the War Doctor was the commander or if they were in the deck.
He's been in decks for me. I've got a couple of red-white exile decks I've been footling around with for a very long time. Yeah. And he's been in that one for ages, and yeah.
He just got out of control so quickly, and I just couldn't do anything about him.
Yeah, because he's so good. He's a crazy good card. And also, I mean, this is a complete side note, but he's a Time Lord Doctor, so if you want to put him as a commander, you can use all the Doctor's companions as alongside him to make
He doesn't have Doctor's companion, though. Does he need to have Doctor's companion?
No, the companion has to have Doctor's companion, not him.
Oh, that's cool.
You can make Jeskai decks, you can make Naya decks. Oh, it's just...
You can make Mardu decks.
Hey, this is why I haven't finished building it yet, because there's too much choice, and I'm too excited about it, so I'm waiting off. But yes, this is just a very good card. There is no denying that it is just a very good card. And frankly, because he also cares about phasing out, he is a very good target to phase out in response to removal, because it gives him more counters when he comes back again. It's just, it's so mean. It's just a really, really good card.
He's one that I would consider adding into Neriv. The only problem would be it'd be a lot slower than what he would be in a proper exile deck, because
you're not building that way, and it's okay that you're not. The rest of the recommendations I've got are really not about that anymore. It's about different things. But I think it is worth noting that you've taken this in a direction that focuses on a different side of Neriv. So I'm sure you've got things that push more in that direction as your next recommendation in this wonderful segue we've created.
Back onto the exile of the thing.
God damn it.
I've recently added this card in because it works with when you do cast spells from exile with Neriv, similar to how Prosper makes your treasures. This is Fire Lord Zuko.
Oh, yes.
Black, white, and red for a human noble ally 2/4 who has firebending. Where
he bans with other fire creatures. It's the worst mechanics mix you've ever seen.
He has firebending X, where X is Lord Zuko's power. Whenever you cast a spell from exile and whenever a permanent you control enters from exile, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Fantastic. Now, I would like to say that if you cast a spell from exile and that spell is also a permanent, his effect doesn't trigger twice because you've cast the spell. What it means, the reason why it's worded that way is because whenever a permanent you control enters from exile, it's a land, is basically what it's saying.
Oh, I see. Because you can play lands from exile as well as cast spells. Yes, I understand. Cool. Yeah.
And you put 1/1 counters on him. So you've got him and Neriv on the board. Neriv, say, got 7 cards in exile. One of them's a land, one of them's a spell. You play the land after you've done your attacks, put 1/1 counters on everything. You then play the spell, put 1/1 counters on everything. So you've put 2 1/1 counters on everything on the board.
It's particularly good because we're going to get onto this relatively soon. Big part of this deck is making as many differently named tokens as you can. Yes. So you're going to have a wide board, and that wide board should hopefully be absolutely chock full of random named individuals that all get 1/1 counters, and thus wide big. And wide big is a really good way to swing in and kill people. Yeah.
It was very difficult for me to not just put every single card or most cards in the deck that give you random tokens and just have like an abundance of them. But the thing that I found with this is that for me personally, when making the deck, is that I need to be a little bit more controlled with the number of tokens. I don't want to have a treasure token, a food token, a clue token, a goblin, a warrior, a soldier. I don't want this vast amount of tokens. The deck can do that, but I don't want that to be the goal, because all I want is 1, 2, or 3 cards in exile, and then I can choose from those to play, but then they build up over time as well, especially if you've got multiple combat spells in the deck as well, which I do.
Well, that's a lot of the cards I might recommend that are not useful to you at all.
Useful to the deck if anybody else is making it, but maybe not to me. Although you might change my mind.
Look, all I'm saying is, and I'm going to talk about some of these cards now, make dumb tokens. Make dumb tokens. Surely the fun of this deck, if you're not playing every whenever exile ping or whenever exile draw or whatever, surely the fun of it is to make the world's dumbest tokens, right? No? Just me? Like,
just you.
I'm not saying like, oh, give me a card that makes like a 3/3 dinosaur. Like, yeah, there are tons of named tokens, and you could play a bunch of cards that make a bunch of like random named tokens, but we can do better than that. We're in colors that let you make token copies of creatures, especially ones. And what you want is ones that stick around, which is much, much harder to do in these colors. But I've found a few good ones. So, Offspring's Revenge. Offspring's Revenge is an enchantment from Ikoria. Makes a lot of sense. It's 2 and a Mardu, so 5 mana total. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile target red, white, or black creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 1/1. It gains haste until end of turn.
Until end of your next turn.
At the end of your next turn. So it gains haste, and then it doesn't matter anymore. Point is, you'll have a 1/1 version of whatever the fuck you want. And things will die. Things always die. And the ability to just give you second bites at ETBs, second bites at legendary creatures. You can have like multiple versions of the same card. You are exiling it from the graveyard, which also triggers all the exile effects that care if things ping. And on top of that, you are making randomly named token copies of things. They're then all tokens. Therefore, Neriv sees them, and Neriv will exile more and more and more cards. It's great.
I'll admit that is actually a really good card, because there's, at least in my deck list, there's not an awful lot of recursion, which is surprising because it's Mardu. But having the ability to say get Pitiless Plunderer back out of the graveyard as a token,
exactly.
Or even Neriv, get another Neriv out of the graveyard. If you choose to let Neriv go to the graveyard, then exile it and put it to the command zone,
and then recast it from the command zone. That's very clever. Yes, you could. And then you have multiple Nerivs. No, because it would destroy itself because it's the same name.
Yeah, but then you can keep the token copy of Neriv on the board as a 1/1 Death Touch blocker, and then once it's dead, you can then cast the commander back from the command zone.
You wouldn't get to draw cards, though. You'd have to attack with your commander, and the token's not your commander.
Yeah, that's the only downside, but yeah.
Also,
it gives you flexibility, so I quite like that card.
It's a picture of a tiny cat cub whose dead mother is behind it, and it's coming with like a, you'd better run.
I'm just thinking Lion King.
A little bit.
Lion King and Ikoria.
I've got more of these, but go on, you go.
My next one is actually a token generator, but it's also a protection spell. So this is Grand Crescendo. It's an instant for 2 white and X. Create X 1/1 green and white citizen creature tokens. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. The obvious play for this is just to create 1 token and then just give everything indestructible. So I like this card. It's I think it came in the precon. Let me just quickly double check.
Grand Crescendo came in the precon. Yes, I'm pretty sure it did.
I'm pretty sure it did. I just want to double check. It's an instant. Yes, it's an instant.
It has to be instant, otherwise the whole giving things indestructible would be really rubbish on a sorcery speed.
This is true, yeah. And yes, it does come in the precon, but yeah, it's just a universally great card. Great at protection, gives you a blocker as well, so you can block while keeping that creature alive, or number of creatures alive, or whatever, if you do it during combat. So just a really, really good card, and it's really dipped in price as well. It used to be really expensive, but the Tarkir Dragonstorm version of it is less than $2.
Yeah, well, it protects your board. It gives you a bigger board and it protects it. Like if you've got Zuko out and you've got the ability to make 5 1/1s because of how much mana you've got floating around that also get protected and protect your board while you're doing it, and then give them all 1/1 counters relatively with ease to build them up to like 3/3s or 4/4s by your turn again. That's pretty good. Hard to argue with.
Yeah.
This is also a weirdo token gem in a slightly odd way. And also, this is a commander I own, so it's one I'm happy to recommend. Hoffrey Ghostforge, 3 a red and a white.
Oh, I love this card so much.
This deck is so brutal.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. He's a legendary dwarf cleric. Spirits you control get +1/+1 and have trample and haste. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a spirit in addition to its other types, and it has. When this creature leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to your graveyard.
Which I think is fantastic. I like that.
I'm gonna put it out there. The commander deck I have, where he's the commander, is grotesque.
It is. I love it. I am absolutely horrified when I go against it, but I've wanted to make this guy as a commander for a while. But seeing that how Chris has done it is just, it's a chef's kiss.
Well, because giving every spirit trample and haste is horrible. It's criminal. It's so bad. And the fact that you don't even have to have any spirit. I do have spirits in the deck. Obviously, I'm not a mad person. But if you don't want to in this deck, you don't need to. You play Hoffrey. Hoffrey sits on the battlefield. Something else dies, and you immediately get a token copy of whatever it was on the battlefield as a spirit that immediately has trample and haste. It's so good.
And I would also like to point out as well, Neriv is a spirit dragon.
Oh God, Neriv's a spirit. I've forgotten that. That's amazing. Yeah, sold.
So Neriv gets +1/+1 trample and haste. So has flying death touch, trample, haste. I must get this card now.
Yeah, this has literally sold itself.
I literally just looked at it and went, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" Sorry, I'm getting a bit excited.
I didn't even miss that. That's incredible. I mean, I will say that the recursion on this kind of is very similar to the recursion on the last one, except the last one I recommended exiles the card. So what you want to do in an ideal world is have Hoffrey out, have a creature die, card gets exiled from your graveyard, but will come back again. It's also an exile trigger for the War Doctor, by the way, and for Laelia. So these cards all used to be in the same deck. So yes, there is.
Isn't Laelia also a spirit?
Laelia's in the Hoffrey deck.
But isn't because Laelia is a spirit, yeah.
The War Doctor's not, because it's Hoffrey cares about combat damage, and the War Doctor doesn't care about combat damage. So yes, Hoffrey's a great add to this deck, and frankly, you can see why there's other cards in these colours that work fantastically well with exile triggers and with recursion triggers, and also these are all differently named tokens, so you're getting all the triggers off Neriv as well. Yep. It's a good card. It's a good card.
And when those tokens die, the creatures that they replaced come back into the graveyard, giving you the ability to recur them if you need to.
With other things, absolutely.
If you're able to, yeah. Right. Absolutely. So I love that card so much. My next card is a card that again comes in the Mardu Precon. I took out of my Vihan deck and put it into another deck I had. But when I swapped this back over to Neriv, it's a card that I added back in, and it's called Infantry Shield, which, looking at it, has dramatically dropped in price. I have not kept up with the prices from the Tarkir cards. This was like a $20 card at one point, and it's now 75 cents.
That's incredible. It's so good. I don't understand why it's dropped in price so much. Probably didn't work in standard.
Probably, yeah. But anyway, it's a red and 2 artifact equipment. A quick creature has menace, fantastic for your commander, and mobilize X, where X is its power, and then an equip value of 2. Mobilize is whenever it attacks, create X tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature tokens, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So you stack when you attack, you stack your triggers, so you create the warriors first, then get Neriv to pop off so that you exile cards because you've got those warriors and any other tokens are on the board as well.
Yep.
And it gives Neriv menace, so if there is 2 flying blockers, your opponent has to block with them. Neriv has death touch, so he's instantly going to kill them.
I mean, you want first strike in an ideal world, don't you? But yeah,
ideal world, yeah. Or double strike. Double strike would be the chef's kiss for this. But yeah, such a good card. works really well with the deck and with the tokens and stuff. And you'll notice in the deck list as well that I have a lot of things in the deck that when tokens or when creatures die, triggers happen, like Mirkwood Bats and Pitiless Plunderer and Mahadi and all that sort of stuff. They're all in there. So and Zergo himself is in there, so you get all of that value for when things die. So
yeah, definitely. It's interesting because you've kept a lot of the cards from Vihan. What you're ending up with is this it's also got sacrifice triggers in it and graveyard cycling in it, which you wouldn't necessarily expect from a deck that cares about differently named tokens and exile.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is interesting.
And it still makes the same number of treasures that the deck did when Vihan was in there. So I could swap, as I said loads of times, I can swap the deck out so Vihan's in the command zone. I could also put Vihan in the 99 and have him as like a game ender. I've got 14 treasures, put him down, swing with all the treasures sort of thing, if I wanted to.
Speaking of treasures, that is, my next recommendation costs 8 mana.
Oh my god, what is it?
And it's a worse version of previous cards we've talked about, but I will say that it is a baller choice, and I would put this in. So Arden the Usurper is from Final Fantasy and is 5 black for a legendary Elder Human Noble. He's a 4/4. Demons you control have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. At the beginning of combat on your turn, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If you exile a card this way, create a token that's copied that card, except it's a 5/5 black demon. You will note that it doesn't come in with haste.
Yeah.
So you are just at the beginning of combat. I make this 5/5. Does it attack? No.
But it is a demon that has
it does.
lifelink
It has
and
haste. Sorry. Demons have Menace, Lifelink, and Haste. It does have haste. So you can attack with this turn. I misread that. All right. Here's why this is good. You have many ways to make token copies of your own creatures from your graveyard. That's fine. Ardenota doesn't say your graveyard. He says a graveyard.
Yeah, so pick other people's.
By the time you're playing an 8 mana creature, there's creature cards in graveyards. And most notably, you'll be able to use this to make other differently named tokens that are big beaters with any kind of ETBs or triggers you want of anyone else's creatures, but also will keep that exile train going to put more and more and more cards into exile so that your choice of what to play on a turn is just heightened. It's fantastic. I mean, it is a big ask. Good thing you're in treasure colours. But
it's good thing there's a lot of treasure making cards in the deck.
Yeah.
We have flown through this episode. I only have one more card.
I'm only going to talk about one more as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My next one's a Planeswalker.
Ooh.
And it's Elsbeth, Sun's Champion.
Oh, good luck. Jesus.
For 2 white and 4,
how much does this card cost? If I was going to buy this card today, how much would I pay for it?
If you were to get the Murder at Karloff's Manor Commander 1, 84 cents.
You're kidding. There's an Elspeth for 84 cents?
Yeah. The most expensive one is a Secret Lair for $19.25.
Oh, hang on. This isn't the good Elspeth. This is the shit Elspeth.
No, this is a good Elsbeth because this one provides itself with protection.
Well, yeah. Okay, go on. Sorry.
So this one is 2 white and 4, comes in with 4 loyalty. Its +1 is create 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Its -3 is destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater, which obviously works against your commander because your commander is power 4, but if you need it. And then its ultimate, it's -7. You get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2, and have flying.
It's a game ender. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
you're making tokens. Yeah.
Yeah. The version of this that I have is the one from Bloomburrow because I just love Bloomburrow as a set.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a good card. It will appear. It will appear at some point on the next to us in a minute. But I added it in there one because I mean it was in Vihan as well, but it was to have a bit of protection for both my life and for Elsbeth. But also the soldiers are additional tokens that Neriv will exile cards off of.
Yeah, it's a shame that they're all soldiers, but also Planeswalkers are funny things. Like, generally speaking, a Planeswalker needs to have tokens around it or protective creatures around it, otherwise it dies real fast. Yeah. You have a flying Death Touch dragon that you have to tap every combat, but doesn't have vigilance, does it?
No.
Neriv? No. So you have to have it, which is a problem, but you could hold back your commander to keep your Eldritch alive to make a big old table that, Zuko could pump up and that sort of thing. So you are leaning more into token strategy then, which is not a bad thing. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it gives you lots of super wide board. It's not a bad way to play.
Yeah, the thing with the Neriv is you don't have to attack every turn. You can build up You can build up cards in exile, and then you can, like you said, pump those cards up with Zuko over the course of the game, and then suddenly you find that you've got 6, 9, 12, 18 tokens on the board that have all got 3/1/1 counters on the meats, and you've got an extra combat spell in your hand or an extra combat spell in exile that you can. All you got to do is swing with Neriv and you can cast it. So, yeah.
Well, this is where my last card comes in. I have a mono white tokens deck, and I've got Zergo, which is a Mardu tokens deck, and a couple other cards where white is in them that are tokens decks where I use this card. It's another pet card, but this one is bananas. I've found it. People don't play it. I don't know why. Probably because it's from a set that everyone hated. But it is, if you play a lot of tokens or you make a lot of 1/1s or something like that, it will win you the game. It is the white version of Overrun that doesn't cost £20, which exists and is not worth it. Starlight Spectacular is 2 and 2 white for an enchantment. It's not even a one-off effect. It's every damn turn. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, choose creatures you control, one at a time, until each creature you control has been chosen. Each of those creatures gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature chosen before it. In other words, you choose a creature, it gets 0. You choose a creature, it gets 1. You choose a creature, it gets +2. +3, and so on. The maths of this is crazy. Let's assume that you have 12 tokens, a perfectly reasonable number for a tokens deck. Not crazy, not bananas number of tokens, like a totally normal amount of tokens. The first one gets 0. The second one gets +1/+1. The second +2/+2, and so on, until the 12th one gets +11/+11. The total amount of extra pluses you've added there is 11 + 10, 21, +9, 30, +8, 38, +7, 45, +6, 51. Do you see how crazy this gets?
Yeah.
That's with 12 creatures. And I know people can block the really powerful ones. Okay, take 12 off, quick maths in head, about 70. It's still 58 damage that's going through. And this is every turn that you attack. This is not a one-off effect. You play this, it is on the board, and every combat step, you're doing it again. In a deck, like, for this deck, I don't know how many tokens you can make with it. I have a mono white deck that routinely makes about 30 1/1s. And 31 people go like, oh, that's scary, but also you're not going to kill me. Like, I play this and go, that's going to be, let's work it out mathematically, shall we? And it's an insane amount of damage every time.
I can think of another deck that I have that this would be fantastic in, but going off of your example with the 12 tokens, imagine if you've got Neriv on the board as well, and Neriv is the last card, you put 12 1/1 counters on it.
Because it's flying, death touch.
Flying, death touch,
yeah.
16 commander damage.
Yeah, just
it's
casual.
not hard to get commander damage with Neriv with this card.
It's this card. I don't understand it because it's an enchantment. Admittedly, it's not instant speed. You can't play it as a combat trick. You play it pre-combat, everyone goes and suddenly have to try and find a way to deal with your board. That's fine. But even if they have well, I'll remove your commander. Give a fuck.
all of my other creatures are still getting big.
The only thing they can do in response is play a board wipe if they've got one, and if they don't, you're swinging out for huge amounts of damage. Like, in my Zergo decks, I have this in my Zergo deck. I routinely I'm attacking and I mobilize 6 warriors out of thin air. That's normal for that deck. If I've then got another 6 creatures on the board, that's enough damage to take one person out. It's enough damage to take two people out. Or if by most points in the game where you're playing this, you can take out all three players.
Well, I should say with that is mobilize goes off when you attack. This goes off at the beginning of combat. So they go off at 2 different times.
Oh, dang it. Yes, you're right. That doesn't work. Well, in that game, no one knew and I won. So I'm not saying. For future reference,
I've done that plenty of times, don't worry.
Yeah, I'll take that card out of that deck. That doesn't work. You're right. But yes, where you have tokens already on the board at the start of combat. No, mobilize is the beginning of combat on your turn. Mobilize, you could. Oh, it's on attack, isn't it?
It's on attack, yeah. When this creature attacks, you do it.
Well, never mind. That game, I won erroneously.
I've done it before. I will openly admit right now that I put myself through an infinite loop with Ghost Town, returning it to my hand on my turn when I shouldn't, and getting infinite landfalls because I had a Cultivated Colossus on the board and I was triggering its effect. But Ghost Town states that you have to do it out on not on your turn, and I missed that line of text.
Yeah, I suppose it's magic. It happens. You're right.
Yeah. People miss triggers. People make mistakes. You know, I penalised myself. I still won the game, but I penalised myself for it. So
anyway, but yes. Point being that in a tokens deck, this card is better, is as good as an overrun, and it's repeatable because it happens every turn. There's, I think, the one that gives everything +3/+3 and flying, which is a ghost cavalry from one of the sets that was meant to be the white answer to overrun, costs like 15 quid. This costs 84p, not even 32p. What are people doing? It's just from Infinity. People don't like Infinity.
Well, there's a lot of confusion around Infinity because a lot of those cards are actually banned, and some of them.
It's an acorn symbol in the silver.
Some of them aren't, but some people can still get. I mean, I get confused just seeing that Infinity symbol in the corner. Sometimes I get confused as to whether the card is actually banned or not. But yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Anyway, that was. We flew through that, so.
Well, okay. I'm gonna put this out there. This is not a popular commander. That doesn't mean that. But like, what good cards have you put in it? Well, there's a ton of really good cards to put in it because even the people who are playing it, the EDH rec page will not have crazy popular cards on it because there's not 1,000 people making deck lists that will grind out the most powerful things and give us like a dig through to find really interesting, strange cards. Like Hoffrey's, I don't think Hoffrey's a strange choice for this deck at all. It's not an EDH rec at all.
No.
If it is now, it's because things have changed. But like that is a thing that pumps up your commander and triggers your commander's effect. It should be on everyone's lips, but people aren't playing the deck, so it's not like EDH rec does a lot of very good things. One of which is it really highlights how a card in a deck is suddenly like a huge, oh my god, this really works together fantastically well. I know people get annoyed about it taking the discovery out of Magic, but frankly, not everyone's as craven as we are and thinks about deck lists all day, every day. Some people just want to have a fun game, and for that, it's perfect.
Yeah, I do fully understand why Neriv isn't very popular. The fact that you can't access the cards that are in exile unless Neriv attacks, which basically takes you out of your. Basically, you can only do the stuff in second main, or in second main, and then have additional combats. I fully understand that, but
also tokens and exile are not a marriage made in heaven because any kind of exile blink effect, any kind of cast from exile that makes tokens, it doesn't work in the same way. These synergies aren't quite as obvious. It doesn't mean it's bad, it just means it doesn't do the things that all the cards that you want to play do together. Therefore you're looking at two halves of a deck kind of stuff.
Yeah, you have to sort of really think about sort of the timings of how you want to do things, because there is absolutely no point playing a pump spell from exile if you've already attacked, and that pump spell only lasts until end of turn sort of thing.
Yeah,
so you have to be really careful with what it is you play. You might still find, as my gripe is, that you might find that there are cards that end up in exile that you won't actually play because the timings don't work with the cards. But That's why I like this deck, because it still gives me the option to do that. Whereas instead of there being a limited time for me being able to play those cards, because I want to at least try and play every card in my deck. I don't want to just keep ditching them all of the time. I have decks that do that, but with this deck in particular, I keep seeing a card in exile and I go, oh, I can't play that now. My son would do that quite a lot with Prosper, would exile a card and be like, oh, I can't play that next turn, that's a really good card, and we look at it and it'd be like Fevered Superstition or something on turn 3, which is like a 6 or 7 mana card, and he can't cast it, and it's like, oh, I really want to cast that. It's like, yeah, that sucks.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. That there's an interesting dichotomy here that I think is explained by something very specific about your and my deck building. Because I goldfish intensively and you don't. You play a lot more games than I do.
Yes, I prefer tuning my decks by playing them rather than what's it called? What's the I know it's called goldfishing, but what's the thing that they do when fighters close their eyes and they picture after image training sort of thing? Shadowboxing, that's the one. Yeah, you sort of like you're imagining what your opponents are going to do. The thing that I find is that the people that I play against, Chris is prime example for this, play such unique cards that I don't ever think about, that I need to. I've done this forever. I always need to play somebody in order to see what my deck is missing, rather than.
Oh, I see.
Rather than just looking at the cards and going, oh, okay, well, I can do this, I can do that. That's fine, but I need to see what other people are playing to be like, oh, actually, yeah, no, I'm missing this, or I'm missing that, or my deck is, it's missing this particular type of removal, or it's I haven't got enough board wipes in the deck, or I don't have enough creatures to help protect this particular planeswalker, which is a key piece to my deck, or whatever the strategy is I'm looking to do with that deck. I always have, at least when I create a deck, a version of the deck which is I've just gone and picked up a load of cards and just shoved them into the deck, and then over time I'll have like 2, 3, 4, 5. If you were to look at my Architect page, which is where I store all of my decks, my Vihan deck in particular, there are 6 versions of it before I got to Neriv.
Yeah. I still find that really fascinating, because that's absolutely not what I do at all. Because I literally put together a deck list before I even start buying any cards, and then I goldfish it. And then I go, well, that doesn't work, that card. And when I'm goldfishing it, I tend to goldfish in 3 very specific different patterns. One being, ignore other players. They don't exist. What does your deck bring out at what time? What's the curve like? Do you often draw cards you can't play, etc.? Is the land drop rate good, etc.? Like the stuff that's kind of bread and butter. I then try a version where I make the assumption that on every turn there will be 3 pieces of removal. In other words, no matter what I play, 3 things will be targeted for removal. And that's an incredibly brutal version where I basically go, could this deck survive if every single person is playing removal on every turn, and I've got to maintain a board state through that hailstorm of removal, basically.
Yeah.
And my version of that, then, I don't like, oh, it wouldn't survive it, therefore it can't do it. No, that's crazy. No deck can survive that. But how well can I still operate? How well can I do things at instant speed? How well can I do things in response to removal to make sure that my deck is still doing something, even if I'm having everything removed every turn, basically? So that's quite good, a way to handle that side. And then the third type, which is the one I tend to do most often, because it's the one that most replicates casual play, is I will goldfish, and it's normally in paper by this point, because by this point I've gone through various iterations, I've gone through various versions of how it's going to work, and then I've got it in paper and just play the cards out in front of me like solitaire. And then every turn I roll a dice, and that dice then dictates, for example, do I get attacked? Like I have different, we'll roll a dice, see if I get attacked. I do.
Yeah.
and then what do I get attacked by? And then I have a sort of assumption of what people tend to play on which turn. And it's never 100% accurate, don't get me wrong. I'm not pretending this is actually replicating any kind of actual gameplay. It isn't. Also, there's no conversation, and I can't politic, and I can't do anything. It's just, it's very rote.
It's just sort of hard-on gameplay, yeah.
Exactly. And what that tends to help me work out is how to do things and how to react to things very effectively, but also how to look at any combination of cards in there. Because I don't tend to play a lot of cards that do like these 4 cards do the same thing. I tend to do a lot of cards that do very different things. So, okay, how does that card interact with that card, interact with that card in this deck? I then have quite a good handle on. Which also means I then start going, hang on a minute, if I play that with that with that, let's just work out how much damage I would do if this person had no blockers. Like that sort of thing. Or if there's, for example, exile triggers, cascade triggers, discover triggers, working out, is it, should I cast it or hold it? Like what kind of chain of things can I set up, especially on Dirtle decks? Like I've got an Alaundo deck where there's a lot of like untap and untap triggers, so I can run that ridiculously long turn and see would it actually end the game, or would I just sit here boring everyone's pants off for 10 minutes and trying to work out if it's worth it or not. You see what I mean? Like there's a lot of that sort of thing. Where that tends to end up is that if, like in my exile decks, I've had a version of this where I exiled all the cards I wanted and I couldn't play them. I've done that 1,000 times before. That's part of the deck. Part of the deck is going, those 5 things have passed me by, but I know full well that there's 10 other things in the deck that do something, if not similar, then have a similar effect on the board state. Like, you mentioned Fevered Suspicion and Prosper, which comes in the precon. It's a great example. It costs 6, I think, or 7. It's really expensive.
Yeah, really expensive mana-wise. But bear with me one moment while I just pull it up.
Yeah. So it's a humongous card to play out of the precon. If you exile it on turn 2...
It's 8 mana.
It's 8 mana, Jesus, yeah, exactly. You're never playing that card on turn 2. It's no chance, not a way. But what is its effect? Read it out.
So it's a black, red, and 6 sorcery. Yep. Each opponent exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast any number of spells from among those non-land cards without paying their mana costs. And then if you cast it from your hand, it has rebound, which means if you cast this spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this spell from exile without paying its mana cost.
All right. It is an 8-cost card, but its effect, especially in Prosper, is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you draw it, it's in your hand, and your chance of building up to the point where you have 8 mana available in Prosper is not inconceivable because you make treasures left, right, and centre in Prosper.
Yeah.
So that's a card where I go, if I goldfish that in my hand, cool. Can I get to a turn where it's playable? Because if it's playable, I get, and the problem with goldfishing, I'll get some cards. They have to be random. I don't know what the hell they're going to be, but I get some cards with some effects. And then I get to rebound and do it again the turn after. So I get probably 6 casts.
Yeah.
That's crazy good. That's so valuable. All right. That's what I want to have happen. If I exile it on a turn where I cannot play it, that's a shame because it is a very good card, even if you only get 1 bite of the apple. But is it still worth it? Do I exile it at enough times in a standard goldfish that it's worth it? In other words, does it pay off? Or does it always end up at being, I exiled it at the wrong point, it's too expensive, I can never play it? Because getting 8 mana in Prosper by turn 5, 6, 7, absolutely conceivable. And Prosper's down on turn 4. So you'd have to be exiling it on turns 1, 2, 3, maybe turn 4, for it to be unplayable, and on turns 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on, it's definitely playable if you are lucky. Is it worth it for those turns? Now, I've not Goldfish Prosper, it's not my deck, but that's what I'd be doing. I'd be spending, because once I've goldfished a turn, once I've goldfished a game, I make notes on it. And not dramatic like, then on turn 3, this happened. But the cards that are always effective get a little note, and the cards that are sometimes effective get a little note, and the cards that are never effective get a little note. And then when I'm upgrading a deck, the never effective ones are the ones I swap out.
Yeah.
And that kind of processing, it sounds like a lot of work. This is all fun. I'm not doing this as like a laborious, entertain, must be done properly. It's say like I have an app on my phone that lets me goldfish a deck by just going tap button, tap button, tap button, and then I make some notes on it. I do that while I'm, sat on the loo, in the bath, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just a fun thing to do in my spare time. And I can do one in 10 minutes now because I've gotten so used to all the patterns on it. And what that ends up meaning is I have a really good understanding of how they all fit together, but also that moment of like, oh, but I never get to play that card. I've done it 1,000 times in practice. I know when it works, and when it does work, it's so cool. And I hope it works in person one day. But if it never does, and if it never has any chance to, and if I'm goldfishing and it never ever does, get rid of it. And you know what I find? You know what I find always happens when I do this? I'm constantly taking out cards that cost too much mana.
Playing cheaper cards, that's kind of the way, kind of direction things are going. Unless you can cheat a card out. I mean, Fevered Suspicion, I will admit, is in a deck that I have which cheats cards out for much cheaper mana. I decided to put it in there. It's Joded Archmage Eternal, so I can cast it for Wooburg, which is all 5 colours. Because it just made sense to put it in there, because it means I can play it from turn 5 onwards and still be things from other people.
But also, that's not a deck where you're chucking things into the sort of random exile pile that may or may not be castable. That's into hand, and you can have things in your hand going, these are all castable from turn 5 onwards. And that's fine. That works really well. But like, the more time I spend goldfishing decks like meticulously, the more a card that has over a value of 5, frankly, has to be so effective when it does land that you have to therefore excuse when it's dead in your hand. It's becoming so like, I would never cast this. I just can't justify it anymore. And it's a shame. Some of those cards are very cool. And Commander's arguably a format made around casting super expensive spells. But it's just not a format anymore that lends itself to that kind of wishful thinking. So I recommended an 8 mana card in our conversation there in a deck that exiles things. There's every possibility that you'll never play Arden because it's too expensive and it won't work, and that's when you eventually cycle out. But it's worth trying, because depending if you're doing what Josh has done and not playing a ton of exile effects, it's an 8 mana card in your hand. Are you ever going to be able to cast it? But if you play it and on the next turn you've made a menace 4/4, a menace 5/5 lifelink, and drawn an extra card off the exile effect, who knows? Yeah. But yes, long point short. That is why I goldfish. Specifically because it also means that when I get a card in a place where I don't want it, I don't go, oh, I never get to play that card. Oh, I hate this. No, I don't like exiling things. It's too random. I can't do it. I go, yep, that's happened 4 times before in goldfishing. The 2 times where it didn't happen, it could have paid off really well. Put a tick in the maybe.
See, the thing for me is I grew up playing trading card games, Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, because I was a child. Yu-Gi-Oh is not. Yu-Gi-Oh is not a particularly fun game to play now. I've tried playing it again, and I'm not too keen on it anymore. But the thing that I had growing up was that my brother also played it as well. I kind of got him into it. And we would spend literally hours every single day, to the point where A4 notepads, we would fill those with our life point totals, and we would have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games a day. His friends would all come round, and we'd all sit in the hallway of my mum's house, and we'd all sort of sit on the floor and play cards. As we got older, we'd go to community centres and things and go to clubs, go to local game stores and all that sort of stuff. So I've always had other people to bounce off and play decks, play cards, and see, oh, this card isn't doing so well in this deck right now. So when it came to coming into Commander, sorry, I hadn't played a trading card game for 2 or 3 years at that point, just because of time, not having the time too much. I was working an awful lot at that point, so I just didn't have time to do anything else. And when I started getting into Commander, I didn't really have anybody to play because not many people were playing it, and it was something that Chris had got me into, and obviously we're not exactly living close to each other, so we hadn't worked out the whole playing online with each other thing at that point. So it was a case of, oh, I've got these really cool cards, when are you coming over here? In a year maybe. So when I finally got to play, I then roped my brother into playing that, and he says it's probably the best thing he's ever done, but he also hates me for getting him into it because of how much he's into it now. He's like proper deep into it now, same as I am. But so my mindset is always, I have to physically play the game in order to understand what my cards do. I can put the cards into a deck, and I can put a card in there and think that it's the absolute bee's knees and it's going to do absolutely fantastic in any game because it works so well with the commander or with the rest of the deck. I'll then play the deck, and that card might end up being completely useless because it doesn't work with my particular play style. My play style, a person's play style and how their deck plays can be two completely different things. So then that card then comes out, and then I'll look through other cards, whether that be through EDH Rex page, or I'll search up like particular cards I'm looking for, cards that give trample, cards that give vigilance, blah blah blah, and then I'll be like, oh, this will be good, and then I'll look to get those cards, put them into the deck. This is my biggest problem. We harp on about how you should always buy singles. I tend to buy a lot of singles for decks, put them into a deck, try them, and then if they don't work, I take them out of the deck and then put them in another deck.
No, but that's okay.
That's why I have so many decks.
That's no knocking on buying singles. I mean, I only buy singles or like fully stocked precons as well, because we've talked about this before. A precon's a great way to get an exciting mix of cards that do synergize. But this is why I buy singles and why I like buying singles, because you buy a single because you're excited about it, you try it in a deck and go, doesn't work. Then it goes in your bulk pile. My bulk pile's about 10,000 cards. And that's okay, because then I can pull out of those if I've got new exciting ideas. Also, I find that whenever a new commander comes out or a new set comes out, I suddenly go, hang on a minute, and I dig through my bulk pile and go, I've got 4 of the cards I want already. This is great. And because bulk always comes back round, and I like having bulk in decks. I think bulk's more interesting than any of the other shit. Anyway, but you're right. Our upbringings have defined this, because I grew up in rural Germany with middle of nowhere in the mountains, so I had to find ways to play games either by myself or to find ways to use my play time as optimizing things that I owned, which is why I was so good at Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and GoldenEye, because I got to play with my friends maybe once a week, and then I'd spend all week practicing before the next time that we played. Yeah.
Whereas my practice was against the same person
consistently. Over and over again. Yeah, my sister's older. Yeah,
that's the biggest sort of change. The biggest thing that I've struggled with, or to start off with, is the fact that Commander is as standard a 4-player format. Doesn't have to be. I mean, Olivia from Elder Dragon Hijinks and Commander at Home said in their 200th episode of Elder Dragon Hijinks, where they had a 5-player game, that there is actually no limit to the number of players you can have in a game of Commander. There's nothing in the rules that say it can't be 2-player and it can't be 3-player or 4-player or more. There's nothing saying that. You can have it as many people as you want. It's just the standard is 4 people.
It's the best version of the game. You don't have to wait as long for your turn. There's enough people to interact that means that if something's happening, someone has the ability to disrupt it. Therefore, games can go on a bit longer. 2-player tends to be very cutthroat, as we've found.
Yes.
3-player... You need to
have a lot more restrictions on 2-player games as well, with certain cards as well, because... you don't get much of an opportunity to, like, my pet peeve is permanent theft spells in a 2-player game are not that great because it just completely shuts down the person's deck. But Chris and I played in a 3-player game, and Chris permanently stole someone's card, one of my cards actually, stole one of my cards. It was, I had Nekasar on the board. Nekasar wasn't my commander. I was playing my Kefka villain deck. Chris stole my Nekasar, and I saw Chris look at me like, you're going to hate this, I'm going to do it. And I just looked at Chris and went, oh, okay, cool. I knew something like that was going to happen because we had another player with us. If it was me and Chris, I would have not like thrown toys out of the pram, blah blah blah, all that. I would have been like, oh, for God's sake, really?
Yeah, exactly.
I would have been a bit more annoyed about it because it's a one-on-one.
In a one-on-one, you losing the resource, the other person gaining the resource, and the only thing you're going to do with it is hit you with it is particularly brutal, it must be said.
Yeah, especially if it's like your commander, which, as Chris has stated in, I can't remember if it was in this video or in the previous video, the deck, it was this video actually, the deck is... most commander decks revolve around the commander. If you permanently steal somebody's commander in a one-on-one game, that shuts them down. At least in a multiplayer game, you can go to the other person and say, can you help me out here?
Exactly. I think,
People.
Yeah. It is a multiplayer game. It's defined by its multiplayers. I think we might be rambling.
We are probably rambling, but you know, this will be in the episode tag. You know, we speak about Neriv, and then because the episode was too short, we decided to talk about goldfishing and playtesting. Anyway, yes, we are rambling. We are going to end the session there. Or the episode there, as we see a doggo appear on screen. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We have been Roll Together RPG. If you like what you see, we do D&D content on Twitch from 6 p.m. UK time. We also do other video game streams throughout the week. Follow us on socials or join our Discord down below to find out what we do, when we do, and how we do it. Massive thank you to the D20 Club Dice Heads and other tiers on Patreon. They are fantastic. They are the best. You can join them from as little as $1 of your local currency per month, or one doggy treat, which must be sent to that dog so that dog can eat, by following all of the links down below.
He's very well. He's a good boy.
We're going to go, and we will see you next week for our next episode of What the Heck?
Bye.
Bye.